Recorded April 14th, 2026. Happy your taxes are due day, gentlemen. You will pay your
It is. Wow.
tomorrow. Tomorrow's duty day. You know that's what duty free in the airport means, right? Tax free.
I thought it meant something else.
Not duty free.
Oh.
I work with juveniles. Children. Duty free, huh? Duty.
And keeps me young.
Consider your duty. T. You got me saying it. So we did the show a little bit different this time. We generally have our guests sit in the green room for the first 15 minutes. Frank and Rod and I banter, but James is a friend of the show, so he's a host for all intents and purposes. So ain't no need for him to sit in the green room. We're out of beer, we're out of snacks, so we can't entertain so coming on. But before we start to the meat of the show, Franklin, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. Kind of tired. Been doing all Microsoft Foundry, Microsoft Agent Framework sort of work. So it's been fun.
It's fun. I meant to ask when you're building the stuff out as you work through GTAs and you're also teaching courses. You're always in my lab. I'm still cleaning the remnants out of it. I think I may just blast it to atoms and start over. What do you use?
Two is one is none. Remember that, okay?
I remember that from 2 years ago. 2 is one and one is none. And Frank says he has one, he has 9. But I do inspection of traffic from a detection on the way out, not necessarily the way in. So I like looking at as traffic go out, like, why is he going out this particular port? I did something pretty cool. But anything else, Franklin, you've been doing? Yeah, what is your lab like? What are you using for a learning environment? I mean, I know you're a certified Microsoft certified trainer, but their labs are. Why am I saying that? Because I'm one too.
It's all the Microsoft labs. I mean, I'm doing it for Microsoft, so they have special workshops for 4-hour workshops that I'm running. So,
well, I was wondering where your learning environment is because I've downloaded a lot of.
I just go ahead and use my own Azure subscription and rock and roll with it. I mean, I'm not really chewing out. I mean, it's amazing. I don't pull a rod and I don't spend a lot of money, so on it, that's okay.
Yeah, I would have given you access to my lab that they were used for demoing at Microsoft, but that got ex-nayed 2 years ago, 3 years ago with Secure First Initiative. If you're not on the VPN, you can't give external. It hadn't worked for a while, then you own an IP address that's not blah 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 blah. You can't do it. But in my personal lab, big shout out to security advisors and private preview team and Christina Quick, still showing me love. My personal tenant's still part of that program, so every time something new comes out, I can see it show up in my lab because I get my tenant. I joined my personal tenant years ago, and then I got the Frontier. Yeah.
What I was really surprised about, I went over the AI 103 code. They released the learning path for that and the labs for that. And I'm really surprised how much they're pushing you into Visual Studio Code, doing everything from Visual Studio Code that you would do on the Foundry side. So I was actually surprised by how much they're pushing that and all the updates to the AI toolkit for that. So
it's probably so that the browser is not the primary interface to be able to do this stuff. And you're seeing it because, everything with the modern SOC, MCP servers, I connected my Visual Studio with the extension to Sentinel to be able to look at the data lake and look at the tables. So everything, it is the thing now. When you're in VSC and you combine it with a Copilot for Git, it's quite powerful. One thing I want to show, big shout out to Marv, teammate at Microsoft. He did a
Copilot for Git. You mean GitHub Copilot? You mean GitHub Copilot?
GitHub Copilot.
Visual Copilot. We're getting every single
Visual Copilot.
Mix of names, but not the right one. GitHub Copilot.
Visual Copilot. Hey, just like Visual C++, Visual Copilot.
There you go.
They got to coin that. That's a good one. Matter of fact, let me buy that domain name while I'm at it. We go ahead and get that right there because Rod and I, we race to these things. So you've been doing that. And what else have you been breaking? Franklin?
Yeah, I don't break anything. I'm good. No, actually, I've been looking at the training that's come out from Try Hack Me, Hack the Box, and OffSec for their offensive security AI red teaming courses.
Mm-hmm.
So I've not been able to drill into the OffSec one yet, but the other two I'm pretty familiar with and their learning paths. And for me, it's I've not been impressed by them yet.
What's
So
that mean?
from what people really need to understand. I mean, I think they're good to go through. There's no reason for you not to go through them, but I think that there could be a different level of education from an AI red teaming standpoint. So I'll still continue searching for the course that I'm going to recommend.
Oh. So as you guys know, that when I say I'm gonna do it. Visualcopilot.com is not available. You thought I was kidding, Jay? I'm in the background trying to get it now. It's not available. I was going to use who is to see who owns it.
What if
Don't even
the
get me started
Copilot
about
name went away though?
Yeah, don't even get me started about visualstudio.com. That's such a sore point for me.
Why is that? Because you were forced to hand it over?
Well, because I own visualstudio.com. I own visualinterdev.com back in the day and all the variations. And I was getting annoyed because I was getting support calls from visualstudio.com. I didn't want support calls, right? And so I get a call from an attorney representing Microsoft, and instead of saying hi, how are you, nice day or whatever, the first thing she says to me is, "We're going to bring you up on fraud charges for not updating your information at Network Solutions." I'm like, "Hello, nice to meet you." And so it's funny because I was interviewing with Microsoft at the same time. So I asked the recruiter, I'm like, "So if Microsoft's thinking about bringing me up on fraud charges, would that hurt my chance of getting a job?" Never heard from them again. So,
I tell you what, it hurt your chances of coming to the MVP.
so yeah. So what I did was, I didn't really care. I was going to give it to him because I didn't really want it, right? I was kind of trapped with it at the time, and so there was the whole cyber squatting laws at the time, and so I'm like, all right, well, since you guys were a jerk to me, what I'm going to do is for all the domain names that you're asking, since I had them for 6 years, and they cost me $35 a year or whatever back then, I calculated that all up, and I said, I want to check for that much. So basically, they had to go through an entire approval process and all that to actually send me the check. The money didn't really matter, but I'm like, it's not like I was cyber squatting and asking them for $1 million. I'm just asking them for reimburse what I paid for the domains. So they went back and they said, all right, we'll do it, and sent me the money. So, but yeah, if they actually would if the lawyer was nice enough saying, hey, we see that you have this, you're pro Microsoft partner, all that stuff, what can we do to, then it would have been a completely different story instead of me being a jerk asking for the reimbursement. So
you and I were not friends then because they called me Edward Strong Arm Walton. You first you called me with that demeanor. I was like, what? And I would definitely have not just given them $35 times the amount of years you renewed. No. Doesn't work that way. Doesn't work that way. It works this way now. But I'll leave that subject alone. I need it because I may find myself.
Every single time I have to go to myvisualstudio.com, I punch the monitor. I went through.
That URL was retirement, but you decided to give it away.
There you go. They can still just pay me if they want.
They could, but they won't. So that's not going to happen. I'm about to ask you something really quick, but I can't remember now. I had a senior moment. It's okay though. It's all right. Rod.
Yeah.
You don't call, you don't write. What have you been doing?
You know what? I'm super busy. Obviously, we just had the MVP summit, 2 weeks ago, and I'm building out report after report after report, all kinds of weird things to go along with that. But I'm using AI to help me accomplish that. Literally every waking moment, probably even in my sleep, I'm building agents or coding agents or using agents to do my work because essentially we're required to do that now. So it's been pretty interesting. It's an AI first mentality. You identify what that thing is that you want to do, and then you first ask, can AI do that for me? Or how can AI accomplish that for me? And you kind of figure it out. I think at some point it's going to make us more efficient, but I think initially it makes us absolutely less efficient trying to figure out if it can actually do that thing. So I think it's good in the long term. Also been doing a lot of my own development lately, again, to try to dig into and understand agents a little more. I built you've seen it, the AI agent platform that enables you to create agents locally and run them locally. You can run them in the cloud now too, but so you can run them locally and they hit whatever API. You can pick the API that you want it to hit against, and produces all that goodness. It's actually turning into a very mature product at this point. I don't know what I'm going to do with this thing.
I saw it.
I have a lot of people interested in it, so I don't know.
I said, well, look at Rod, fancy himself the new Mark Zavarkovich, or however you say his last name.
Well, it's just one of those things to me that I believe is going to be built into the operating system eventually.
If you say it,
yeah.
Isn't there a session at Build where they're talking about something like this?
There is, yeah.
Oh, are you going to Build?
It's possible.
Yeah, I'm not going. I need to get the name of all your teammates that I interacted with from the MVP summit. I met so many folks.
Oh yeah, need to do that. You need to Connect season is here, so you need to
ask for perspective.
Yeah, from everybody.
Oh yeah, I got Karen Ace down here. I and I forget your teammate that was from Africa that came over. And
Lynette, yeah.
Yep, Pablo was there. I remember Dennis,
yeah.
And
Migela.
And Emily Edwards.
Emily, yeah, she was there. Yeah.
I'm gonna get all the names. I'm gonna send that out.
Okay.
They I do Connect. Ours was due today. Yeah. What's today? Tuesday? I'm thinking the day Thursday. I just had a brain fart. We did it because
mine's not due till May 1st, fortunately, but I think yours is sooner. So
our manager due Monday. And that's not a suggestion.
Wow.
Okay. And so
that leaves off like 2 weeks of impact you could have had.
Well, I'm gonna take my impact and go on vacation Thursday.
Well, there you go. That's impactful.
We'll do it that way. I wrote it. This is probably one of my better. It wasn't hard. I guess we can talk about it. We have a Connect tool, and those that are familiar with Microsoft and how we go about how we employ and write, our evals. To Connect is a term that talks about that. The Connect tool is gone, but there's a Connect agent. It's two of them, and one is in preview and preview, and one is not in preview, but neither one of them work. So go try it out, Roy. Go try it out, Jay. Neither one of them work. I looked up the agent, he said, "Oh, I want to install it," and he's like, "Oh no, you can't do that." Before we move on,
for the Connect, really?
There's two of them. Mm-hmm.
Are they fighting each other?
They do not work. So I try to go find the old tool, and that doesn't work either.
Well, speaking about perspective and everything, Rod, I owe you an apology, sir. I was looking back at my request, and I see one came in from November from you, and I simply did not see it. I'll get that over to you.
Don't worry about it. Everybody's always busy. I feel bad about sending those out, especially during Connect time, because everybody is just super busy, and we're coming very near the end of the fiscal year, so everybody's just like trying to get everything off their plate and go away for a while.
You're easier now.
No.
I
don't take offense at all. So.
I bet you don't. When I saw yours come across, I was like, let me do it.
Yeah. My question is,
I was tempted to use AI, and I was like, no. This is an interpersonal thing, but someone you work with, you consider a peer and a friend.
Yeah.
Mines are correct. You see all the mistypings, the typos, the misspelling, the lack of subject-verb agreement. It's Ed writing it. It's terrible.
Yeah. I think you did use the word duty in it a couple of times.
I used duty. Yeah, I did use it, like the Duty Brothers.
My whole question about the perspective and stuff is, why can't I send one to someone without them having to request it? It seems really odd.
We can.
Yeah.
You can now?
I've done. I did. I said thank you to quite a few folks. We when you come on the show, one things I'll do. Matter of fact,
because all I see is the ability to provide feedback and request feedback. And if you go to provide feedback, there's not an option there for me just to pick somebody and send it to you.
is at the very center right here, right there. So when you go in and you say provide feedback, you go there and you can search, and then the search is right there, and then you can just populate the names. So it'll suggest people for you, but if you want to add people, you click and then you put the name in, and it'll just populate it.
Where do you see that?
I actually wrote. I
think your agent broke the connects. You're gonna have to redo yours.
I mean, that works on the request side, but on the provide side,
yeah,
I'll check it again. You know, maybe I hallucinated. It's possible. It's possible.
You need to adjust your AI temperature.
It may have changed, and I'm just maybe have an old connect URL I'm going to, because now they're more in favor of using praise inside Teams and kudos. Those two things in it. I'm telling you, I did it. I'm not on my Microsoft machine, but I'll show you tomorrow if you want to see it. I'll show you guys where it is. I did it. Yeah. There's some folks that absolutely did some good stuff for me, and I'm like, man, let me say thank you because you. Yeah.
The praise and kudos and stuff like that. I mean, I know you can send that ad hoc, and I do that quite frequently. But on the Connect side with the perspectives, it's always been interesting to me why I can't just why do I have to request it? Because I had one person take a month to send me the request. By that time, I forgot about it. My memory doesn't go that long.
Yeah, I write it on the board. And if I haven't done yours yet, James, it's on the board here. I did Rod already, and I wrote. I think I did Chris Seltzer and a couple others on the board. I had to write them on the board back there. I forget. And then I just set a date. So rather than write it ad hoc, and I know I want to do some folks, I do it on a piece of paper, and then I'll put a thing on my calendar that says, give back perspectives. That's the title, and you go write it out, right? And I got a rule for those who listen to the show. Ed Walton comes help you and pulls you out of the fire, and I ask you for perspective, and you don't supply it. I'll let you end that statement. There you go. Yeah, that's it.
Yep.
So, Mr. Key, your turn. What have you been doing just to either get in trouble or stay out of trouble? We're going to get into the show.
It's a little bit of both, honestly. Most recently, I've been out to RSA. RSA was insane. Lots of partners, lots of customers, lots of activities and so forth. As Rod mentioned, working on reports, getting all that insight and perspective back. Right before that, literally the day before I flew out to RSA, I was flying in from Alaska. Me and my wife, we went on our honeymoon, 10 years in the making. Yeah. In 10 years.
Congratulations.
We never made it around there, but she wanted to go somewhere super cold. I was preferring to go down to Belize to the jungle, but she did not want to do that. She wanted cold. So we went to Fairbanks, Alaska. Negative 40 degrees Fahrenheit was the low. Positive 2 degrees was the warmest it ever got. So needless to say, that is very snowy. But the wind chill wasn't that bad, so it was great. We got to go to a reindeer farm. I got to pet Rudolph and Prancer and Dancer and all of those. Got to do some dog sledding. Got some amazing food. And found out that my favorite type of sausage in the world is reindeer sausage. Didn't know that, but it is. It's good.
So 2 questions. Are you positive it was 2 degrees? And did you play any reindeer games?
No reindeer games, unfortunately. But it was definitely extremely cold. Layers were very, very important. And I think I wore thermals for the very first time in my life. So that kept everything nice and warm. But all in all, it was great. And like I said, I got used to driving in the snow again. I'm originally from North Carolina in the mountains, spent some time in Minnesota and so forth. So I'm not like most Texans where you see a snowflake and you run for the fields because you're afraid it's going to make you slide out. But we got to do a little bit of snow climbing and everything, and it was fun. But the latest thing I've been doing, and this might be a shocker for a lot of people because me working in AI and doing all this kind of other stuff, but learned a lot of programming languages throughout my life, but never learned Python. And I know it's not always used in everything, but I wanted to learn something new. So I'm going to work on Python, go through that. I've seen some things around AI and agents and different types of protocols and so forth with that. So it's something new just to keep the brain stimulated.
Well, and we were joking earlier, and I said it's Python is obsolete now. It's not actually, because if you watch any AI tool, and if you expand what it's actually doing in the background, it's not actually that intelligent. It just creates code as it goes along to accomplish those tasks that you ask it to accomplish. It's generating code. And so what I've been doing recently is as part of that, I'm like, oh, expose that code and save it to a directory somewhere or a folder. And then you can just go take a look at the code that generative AI is actually building. So it's actually kind of cool.
Yeah. It's just a nice little side break. I've been looking at so many YAML files and manifests and everything from a security copilot perspective. It's just a little different flavor. So
yeah.
Yeah, I think when it comes to just interface languages, I won't call them programming languages, dev languages, because people will go, well, that's not a dev language, that's a scripting matter. I'm like, just interface languages. I touched a little bit of everything. I think one year I thought Golang was going to be the thing, right? So I was all in on Golang, right? And then when doing the web, thing, everybody started out with HTML. Actually, that's not true. I think the modern stuff you started doing that, but then it's according to where we are in the technology landscape. Because when I really first got into cloud about 10 plus years ago, I'm like, what how is Azure made? How is cloud made? And you start looking at Node.js, you start seeing all these things. But even then, on the I can't even think what they used to call the old Azure cloud. I know it was classic, but it was the name for it. It was a back-end name for it. But I mean, everybody's a coder now, because it seems like your IDE of choice is where you go to do things that are repetitive. You need to do at scale. You need to be able to make changes, sort of fast. And so I live in VS Code. What did I call it, Frank? Visual Copilot or Copilot for Git or something like that. I'm just in it, right? I bring it up. And I realized I had learned it so bad how to use that stuff. So I had an old issue of Code magazine, and the guy there wrote, it was so good. If you're at Microsoft, you get a free subscription to Code magazine. So it comes, and I read through it, and it's like, here's how you learn, VS Code with Copilot for Git. And I'm probably still saying it wrong, but don't matter. And it's interesting to go through. The marketplace for extensions is robust, and a lot of those extensions are let me be charitable here, garbage. So be very careful what extensions you download, right? I absolutely go look at the publisher. So I look at Microsoft as a trusted publisher first, and then I go take a publisher, look at whatever their handle is, what they do, go out and I look to make sure there's no bad reports on anything like that. And then I may do it. That's the third thing I do. The second thing I do right after seeing who published it, let me go see what their Git is. What are they using? What are they sharing out? What are they forking? I see it there. And like, okay, I'll use their thing. The thing I don't like, and I don't know this for sure if any developers out there, some of them, when you download them, they ask, do you want to trust this particular extension? And some of them, they don't. So I don't know how it's signed or whatever. I generally don't get to ask if I need to trust a Microsoft sponsored extension. It'll just say, do you want to install it? But another one say, well, do you trust this publisher? And that's when I go and look up all the stuff, right? And I don't trust anything from Frank Grimberg. And matter of fact, I know, right? By then it's too late. It's a drive-by exploit. If you look at it, you already owned. It's too late. So, yeah, man. But so you sort of gave into what we were talking about on the show. The last episode, we talked about a little bit of RSA from a participant, attendee, a little bit from the Microsoft side. And then we talked about Rod and I experiences up at the MVP Summit, which was absolutely one of the best things I've spent my time, money on. Once again, shout out to Rod's team. I got to meet Christina Quick for the first time. Matter of fact, put her on the list. See Quick. Respect.
That's visual quick to you, buddy.
Visual Quick. And
better check that domain name.
Well, you can put an S on there and you can get it. Visualcopilots.com is there, but who wants the S? I want the original, right?
Yeah.
And then we talked about that. But one of the things that struck me is that you had said, hey, I want to come back on and talk about RSA. And I think it was one more thing we talk about. I want to understand from a partner, because the partners are sent people out there. Quite a few people asked me where was I there? And I'm like, no, I'm up north above you. I couldn't come. So tell me, you are an MSFT employee, as dutifully noted in your signature right there, right? I think we should be doing that too, Rod. How was the partner reception? How did the partners receive all the information that came out of Ignite as it related to them? And what was your thing? Because I know one thing that we want to do, we sort of missed partner month. I think we'll probably push it to May, but we want to get partners on. And I think the criteria was you were going to provide us a list of partners that had offerings in the security store. Oh, one thing, big shout out to Hitesh. I know Hitesh works with you, and he speaks very highly of you. So I didn't know James could walk on water. I do now. That's pretty good. So I got to meet Hitesh. He used to be on my team, so I was up there. Him and I had a little powwow over lunch. So tell me, how was the partner interaction at RSA, Microsoft specific, who delved themselves into security?
No, the partner, I think, exposure and impact and just overall presence was phenomenal. We got a lot of partners at the MISA booth. They were giving out demos of their security solutions, whether it's managed services, some of them were security compliant agents, some of it was unified SOC orientation capabilities and so forth. Lots of traffic coming through, lots of customers very engaged in looking at opportunities to work with them, to build with them. I thought that was really interesting, not only to see them as a potential partner for customer purposes, but also to engage and to collaborate, which is phenomenal. We had some great theater sessions also, really diving deep. I was able to present one with Invoke out of Houston, doing a lot of identity work. They were talking about their role mining agent that was really looking into like intra IDs and over permission based and stuff of that nature. It was really phenomenal. But in the end, all the customers that I saw coming through, and even partners looking at other partners, it was just a really awesome, inspiring event. It was something that was extremely stimulating. I wasn't able to attend the year before, but this year I was able to be there, and it was just overwhelming, in all honesty. To see what the partners are doing. I was able to go around and take a look at some of the booths also that were there, that partners that we engage with. We were able to give some really great announcements about feature functionalities that partners really gravitated towards, with great opportunities to move forward with different types of solutions and integrations with their customers. And more importantly, we were able to really, showcase some of the amazing work that partners were doing. I think it was one of the biggest things that we do at Microsoft when it comes to our partners, is really trying to spotlight and showcase the amazingness that they are bringing, because partners do make more possible. And it's not only just to give them visibility and to showcase what they're doing, but to inspire other partners to jump on the bandwagon also, and to see what they can bring to the table. Because there's opportunities across different products, use cases, and scenarios, and it's only going to continue to have a bigger blast radius, I think, when it comes to how partners are really impacting the space from an ecosystem for our security stack. It was awesome.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. I think that the Customer Connect program that turned into the MCC program, which is now the Security Advisors program. A lot of name changes since Roy went to that team. Wonder why. I think that it is one of the focal points that is going to drive innovation around agentic AI, because with the models that can go in and write meaningful solutions, whether it be Claude, Gemini, Grok, whatever it may be. I think that has made the creation level playing very easy, right? Even I don't even play a coder on TV, can get on this thing and you can write these things. What I see now is that anyone that can interact with a customer is where your innovation is going to come from. The customers are going to bring these unique pain points. You're going to run out of creative juices. I see these incremental increases. Somebody wrote an MCP server here. Somebody did this here. Somebody did this here. But are you really solving a problem, or are you doing something neat? right? Oh, this is cute. I need a project. I wrote this. And now you're going to have to look at, well, did you solve the problem? And I'm going to go back to something that was the heart of my whatever. Does it make you money? Well, it's for the love of the game. Can't spend love.
Yep.
I've tried.
Well, when you think about it, I mean, it's about exposure of the brand, but it's also, partners, not charities. They are looking to make revenue. Yes. And it needs to be coming one way or another, either directly from the product or through consulting services, through brand exposure and so forth. But one of the things we're really pushing on my team, specifically with our partners, is we want to build with purpose. We want to build to, what's the way we put it? Build for purpose, build to, solve outcomes, and then build to create value. So it's all around purpose, value, and outcomes. And if you can create something that aligns with all three of those, you're going to be very successful. It's going to be very high quality in the end. And a lot of partners and a lot of, I think, organizations in general, because some customers are building things internally too. So I don't want to say it's just strictly partners. Customers can definitely engage very easily. But you want to start looking at, how these autonomous capabilities really sort of flow across regional spectrum, industry spectrum, how they take a place with different types of regulatory requirements, not just products. Because a lot of times we think about, well, let's create something that's specific to Sentinel or specific to Defender or a certain type of use case and persona. We don't really think about, how the industries look at it differently. It's vastly different when you think about financial organizations versus healthcare and government. And then when you think about, organizations and customers that reside in maybe a European country, maybe somewhere down in South Africa, maybe looking over at Asia Pacific area, Australia, New Zealand versus South America, Canada, they're all vastly different when you look at certain things. And when we create agents, when we create this autonomous capability, we really want to dive into those uniquenesses and provide specialized capabilities. It really helps our partners gravitate and share that great value that is very strategically defined for those customers. And that's where I think a lot of times it's missed, because you try to create something very generic, which is great, for the masses, but it doesn't always fix the specific need or the outcome that's, trying to be, resolved. So those right there, I think, are important.
I think the level playing field now, I saw it, and the pendulum swings. I was on the threat protection side, and everything MCAS, MDE, and all this other stuff, whatever they call it now, MDCA. And then I saw it swing over. It's artificial intelligence. It came around that data governance, data protection, data discovery. And I saw a cool tool that an agent did, and I'm seeing it happen at work, that it went in and scanned everything in your OneDrive, and they evaluated who you had shared links with and automatically revoked those sharings. And they looked at stuff. It gave you criteria. This person you shared this with is either no longer here, haven't touched this particular thing. You overshow, you tried to share a file, but you shared the entire folder. I'm like, where's this coming from? And so now you see that. And now, everybody say, yeah, the AI is here. AI is exposing oversharing, data governance issues, data protection, DLP is showing all these things. Now it gives us a roadmap to go in and do remediation. But now I'm starting to see something else swing back. I can't tell if it's hype or not. I'll ask Frank on this. You're starting to see that my core talents around threat detection, threat intel, forensics, hunting is going to become even a bit more, because this Project Mythos has got everybody's hair on fire.
It does.
You see that document that I sent you and Frank, the CISO document I put in that?
Yep.
It was a great read. So when I put it out there and I posted maybe on something, maybe on my LinkedIn or something, I got one of the higher ends at a major financial firm like, where did you get this? And they created these tiger teams that they are going out and saying, we need to go look at all of our proprietary code and how it's written. Right. This is a thing now. Like they're about to go look at a lot of legacy in-house applications and go, either you got to go hire a big 5 firm to come in and take hundreds of man hours, if not thousands of man hours. And now you're going to have to be able to sit here and go, how do I stay in front of the people who are going to get access? Because while Project Mythos is a open AI initiative, someone correct me. Did they
Anthropic?
Yeah, Yeah, Anthropic. What did I say? OpenAI?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or we call it OpenThropic for you.
OpenThropic. It's Visualthropic.
Othropic.
Get that domain.
Save that domain. Do that. So now you're starting to see back. You're like, wait a minute. It's something can come in and look at in-house applications. Dude, I did it. You pull back the actual gun, but you told everybody how to build it, and now you can go and you can build this thing, because Project Mythos wasn't unique. Stanford had the first one, right? Stanford had their own. They were doing the same thing about a year or so ago. So they have theirs. I forget what it's called, but if you look it up, Stanford was already doing an AI version of what Mythos is now. Now, of course, Stanford doesn't own their own models. I love to know what model they were using when they built this vulnerability thing out, detection. But I saw it, and I hit one of my AI like gurus. He's like, it's hype only because it's open, and then they need some. Not open, Anthropic, and I can't really say what he said about it, but he was like, yeah, this is a thing for now. This has already been out, and why they may not have access to the actual code or the capabilities of it. You're given the thing that I just talked about. You're giving people an idea, and they go, I didn't think about that. So it's going to be that thing. We'll see.
There's so many. I mean, this is a major impact to the companies that did code scanning anyways for what's going on. The other thing is how many of these security vulnerabilities that are going to be found are actual remote code execution capable for what's going on. So I think it's important, but I don't think it's as crazy as people are making it out to be. So I mean, it's a good thing, and people should be able to look at their code for vulnerabilities. But if you find a vulnerability on a machine where you have to have access to it already, they can't do the remote code execution anyway. So what's the risk management there?
It's risk management. Let's take the tech out of it. Let's go through the human factor of it, and then we'll get back to the topic of the show. I keep forgetting James, the guest. We'll talk about this stuff. He's the host right here. What's it do to red teamers and pen testers and their livelihood? I mean,
Well, there's looking for vulnerabilities in source code. Then there's pen testers. So how does this change red teams and pen testing, and also defer when you take a look at some of the things that SAN's doing now with hooking up Claude to SAN SIF to do forensics that way. So I mean, we'll have to see, but I just can't imagine right now that that the LLMs are not going to create a lot of noise that's going to be able to be picked up by the defense pretty quickly. So I think that for capture the flags and all that fun stuff, so they're gonna really have to, give the LLM, except for capture the flags, where you can be as noisy as you want. They're gonna have to figure out how not to be noisy, and how not to do the standard stuff that's going to be picked up. So yeah, things are going to go faster, and hopefully the defense will go faster, but I think it's going to be louder.
Yeah, I wonder if the firewall becomes the new perimeter again, right? Because everything's got to transverse your pipes. Sooner or later, got to do it. We'll see. Mr. Key, have your partners, if any, have had any comments around the Anthropic Mythos or Candlestick, Candlelight, Castlevania announcement, whatever they called it?
In all honesty, I haven't had a moment to talk to my partners about a lot of that, but they have been bringing up sort of whispers around, the detections, the visibility, all that kind of stuff. And it's definitely thrown, I think, a wrench into a lot of questions about how to move forward in certain areas, and also what's important now, and how do you prioritize those things that are important too.
Yeah.
Just like with most things from an AI perspective, AI is great about visibility. It's great about bringing things in from the dark and making them be seen. And I mean, we saw that originally when it came to, access and role management. Bob has the ability of being able to access the CEO's mailbox. Didn't realize Bob had that access until he started using Copilot, and then Copilot gave it to him. And he's like, oh, I have access to the CEO's mailbox. Didn't realize that. I had it for 6 years. But you don't know what you don't know. And AI is bringing a lot of things to visibility, and it's only going to be coming stronger, I think, from a vulnerability and threat perspective, remediation, mitigations, and so forth, and showing where those vulnerabilities actually exist, and how will threat attackers reverse engineer that in a way to be able to find those quicker. Because if we're going to be using those internally to find what things are happening and the vulnerabilities that exist from a code perspective, applications, and so forth, it's only a matter of time until threat attackers weaponize that also as a means to get better surveillance and visibility, whether it's entering in the organization and then deploying out something AI to do that on their behalf and report back. So when you think about the whole concept of lateral movements with the user, that's all about going from permission to permission and getting higher up elevation. Well, you don't have to do that really anymore. You just need to compromise one account that has access to Copilot or Gemini or Charlotte AI or whatever it is. And if that person actually ends up being a well-connected individual, you have access to the motherload of data, all because of AI giving that ability to scope through on their behalf.
Especially with some of these very intimate tools or agents or overlays such as Coworker, that I found that is very connected to something. Mental note, I want to send you a prompt. Rod, when I come in on the show, did you run that prompt I sent you today?
I did, and then I dumped it into Cowork, and then it wanted me, it actually wanted to, it created the doc, but then it created a draft that it then asked me if I wanted to send it to my manager. Just go ahead and send it to should I go ahead and send this to your manager? And I'm like, I looked at it, I'm like, no.
You got what I was trying to convey today. I will send it to you, James. It made my eyebrows go up, and I don't even have eyebrows.
Well, some of it I don't agree with.
Yes. We'll talk about it non-public. I say, take this prompt and use it. I'm gonna send it to James and watch James' eyebrows go up. You'll see. So, with that being said, let's get back to the RSA thing. I didn't get to read all the notes because literally Rod catfished me, bamboozled me to come out for the MVP summit, and I thought it was all fun and games and party. He works. I know for a fact Rod and I shook 250 hands in a single hour, if not more, coming into the thing. We shook.
It was like 200, a little over 280 actually.
280 individual. We greeted in person, shook their hands. My hands were dry from all the sanitizer. Rod and I would take a turn. Plus, it was freezing, so Rod would go outside, then I would go outside to warm back up. Who knew Seattle was cold? With your, back to you, James, with your partners that were out there, and especially now that I'm hearing all the good things about getting their solutions into the security store, and that, how are they feeling now that there seems to be a little bit of more momentum and push of the allocations of the SEUs into some of these major tenants? I hate using the word free, SEUs, because the SEUs are allocated by virtue of you having E5 licenses. But how many of them have really say this may be a good thing if we hit it just right? Did you get a lot of conversation around that? And then if you can say, after that announcement, did you get more applications for submission into your security store?
No, absolutely. So the inclusion capacity with the M365 E5 licenses has been huge. It's definitely created a lot of synergy, a lot of excitement, and a lot of access that didn't previously exist. Security Copilot was never a product that had a trial license or really a true environment to play around with. So a lot of our customers and partners alike were sort of gate locked out without them putting in, money to be able to, sort of try to play type situation. And in this case right here, it's really starting to open up a lot of those customer adoption pieces. So the partners are very, very excited. They're starting to see a lot more on the consulting side, a lot more on the agent building side for individual customers, not necessarily going to the security store, but building very proprietary things unique to individual customers based upon those use cases. But we also seen an uptick on partners that are trying to get their agents over to the security store. We're over 75 published agents now, all partner published, which is a phenomenal number. We're hoping to be able to get to 100 by the end of our fiscal year. That's one of my target goals. We're going to see how that works. But I think we're up to like 77 right now, if I want to get exact on that. And we're seeing a lot of push beyond the traditional Sentinel and Defender side and looking at it from a purview side, data security, DLP, looking at communication compliance and insider risk, sort of, seeing that evolution and explosion from a ROC perspective. We've seen SOC with the Security Operations Center. Now we're seeing that Risk Operations Center really start gravitating. And we've seen a lot of emphasis on those areas there. We've also seen some very significant updates at RSA. One of the big ones was a huge push around the intra-agent ID and bringing a lot of security and identity type capabilities to the agents. Because we firmly believe that agents are going to be the larger threat vector going forward beyond an individual user. Just because what we talked about a second ago. When you compromise a user, you compromise potential unidentifiable data. You have to go search for it, find it, because you don't know what permissions that they have. When you compromise an agent, you're accessing and compromising a data source. You're able to feed everything that you want to from that data source and have pretty significant impact in access very quickly. So being able to apply conditional access and access reviews and risky agent type concepts, PIM and so forth on those agents is going to be critical. That's why the agent registry is so important from identification across the entire ecosystem to know which ones are there. That's why we've so much emphasis in bringing it over into Defender for cloud apps, being able to look at it from a risky agent perspective. It's the whole reason why we created the security dashboard for AI, being able to see the LLMs that exist and the different types of codes and so forth that are visible in the environment, is bringing all that to the forefront. So those areas right there around the agent piece in general has been huge, because again, protection, security, visibilities. But we've also seen some significant releases across our embedded experiences, and also Microsoft bringing out some really awesome security compliant agents that are first party built. The security analyst is a great interactive chat that's natively built into the Defender portal. And we've also seen our security store now not having to go over to securitystore.microsoft.com as a portal, but having it embedded into our actual products. So when you go over to the Microsoft Defender portal, it's there. When you go over to the Microsoft Entra portal, it's there. By the end of this month, it'll be in the Purview portal. And maybe, depending on what the Intune team wants to do, we'll see it maybe come over there. But I know those first three definitely are going to be coming there very soon. And sort of seeing how the evolution is of meeting the customers where they're at, and seeing how we're able to bring that type of traffic to our partners, it just really stimulates that visibility. And with working with the partners, it's all about creating this like symbiotic relationship of how we're looking to complement services. Microsoft can't create everything. It's physically impossible to do that. We have to pick our areas that we want to specialize in, the areas that we think we're going to bring that value. And we're looking for our partners to be able to complement that and to pick up on the areas that maybe we're not going after, or to find strategic partnerships that we can sort of integrate together in those particular spaces. And we're seeing great synergy on that side right there. A lot of partners are doing some phenomenal work on their agents. Two of the bigger ones that we see a lot of traffic on with their agents is AdaQuest and Glucania. One of them from a US based, one of them from over in Europe, which is phenomenal to sort of see that ecosystem from a global perspective take place. But again, 75 plus agents across 35, I think, partners in total. That's a huge sort of stretch right there over the course since we introduced this back November of last year at Ignite.
Yeah, because John just jumped up on my radar 2 years ago because they were like a sponsor or a patron of two websites I absolutely love, KQL Search and KQLQuery.com. And I saw it, and then I saw Gene. Shout out to you, Gene. I hit you up on LinkedIn, man. Call me back. He pinged me.
He reached out to me last week, by the way.
He did? Yeah.
He did. Yeah.
He's down in Houston. I know him. Anyway, I looked at them and I'm like, I know these guys, but I can't say I know them because I've not personally put them into any of my accounts. Now, the other, Invoke, I know them well. Rod introduced me to them. I spoke at their event 2 years ago, Rod, 3? Yeah. Down there, their identity thing. I'm going to ask you about another partner, James, before I have a senior moment. I got to meet a identity partner, pretty Silverfort vendor, aka partner. Are they in the stores? Silverfort. I think that's they are.
They have an agent that's in there.
I wonder how them being a very identity centric, no pun intended, solution provider, how are they looking at how their product evolves, because it was almost primarily around a login and a role, a role permissioning from a user. Mm-hmm. Now these agents have it, and I think someone asked me a question. Edward, what's the difference between an agent and a atypical user? I said, well, an agent is not only going to have the role access, but it's actually going to have a set of skills that go along with it. That's going and a programmable backend, and also be registered as an application. So now you're looking at a person or thing that, just what you said, has all of this access that it knows it has, versus someone who may not have access as a biological unit that may not know that it has. I see the next plane of user entity behavior anomaly being agent behavior user anomaly, because and we have in our product, we got to see it. Yep. But that's going to be the thing, because instead of having insider risk solely, it's looking at individuals who choose to make a bad choice about how they go about their business. You're going to have agents who are making bad choices because that's just how they were built. Right? There is no, I make a bad choice. You gave me the capability to do this. I'm going to do this. Right. And so I'm waiting to see how all of the software companies, IT companies, whatever else, look at. We need to be looking at very specific agentic behavior. Because I think I said it last year. You're going to have something, a double agent. You have another agent fooling another agent, and that agent is not going to be that agent, right? It walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, swims like a duck, ducks like a duck, but it's actually a hawk.
So, yeah, a couple of things in that, and that goes back to my hashtag I have on my little thing there. Instructions matter. Instructions are critical. You have to put guardrails. You have to basically train it and tell it exactly what you want it to do. And if you leave any type of potential, ambiguity to it, then it doesn't know if it can stay in that swim lane or not. So you got to be very specific on that piece. It's also something where a lot of our intra-agent ID pieces are very important too, laying those guardrails, laying those protection pieces in place. It's also a section that I'm working inside of Microsoft, sort of bring up this concept of, how do we bring agents into the realm of like honeypots, knowing that people are going to be trying to lateral move users. They may try to lateral move agents. They may try to, incorporate with them. So if you create these little landmines out there that that the agents look very enticing, but they have no purpose to the organization other than to alert and say, hey, someone poked me, then you know that whoever did that has been compromised, or that the agent needs to be shut down. So taking that idea and being able to bring that same honeypot type concept to the agent side is going to be critical, along with the risky, activities and risky, functionalities and so forth that you mentioned, because an agent's going to do what it thinks is right based upon its instructions. But if you don't, it's like talking to a kid. Kids are really good at being able to, find technicalities. They're very good. My son is amazing at technicalities. If you don't put everything in exact, blatant, crystal clear words, he will find something that is not inside of that and do it. It's like when he was at school and they told him, stop making paper airplanes. Well, then he started folding something else. And he came back, I told you, stop making paper airplanes. I'm not a teacher. I'm making a glider. Mm-hmm. Well, it's not an airplane. Technically, it's a little bit different. But, I mean, it's all about those, specificness. And we have to be very specific on those areas right there. I did see somebody in here talk about wanting to potentially bring an agent, a reverse shell MCP server type thing. If you want to, just go ahead and hit me up at james.key@microsoft.com, and I can definitely help you out with that. Again, you have to be a partner, but we can definitely get you, in there, depending on
Noodle works for us. He's a Microsoft individual.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, he works. Well, he doesn't work for us. He works. I'm trying to get Noodle to help me out with something. Really quick. He keeps dodging me. I think I'm gonna have to get on the plane and fly to London.
Okay. I thought that he was saying that he wanted to publish an agent that created a reverse shell so that he could actually attack things. I didn't realize it was to find that sort of stuff. Oh, okay, I understand. Sorry.
So with partners out there, unfortunately, I missed the Security Partner Summit because we decided to have an ice storm in Georgia. I think you barely got out too, didn't you?
Barely. I had to fly out one day earlier.
Yeah.
It was rough.
Oh man, it killed me. The hotel was good enough to refund everything and everything, and I wanted because the people say, "Are you out into the partner thing?" I said, "Dude, I'm stuck in Atlanta. Weather's terrible." Dude, I said, "Well, you know what? I'll fly through Dallas and I get there." So, how big was the artificial intelligence discussion, and how much did it deviate from the atypical conversations you had with security? Because for the most part, for a number of years, the XMDR and managed Sentinel and managed identity was the bread and butter. We come in, we put the solution, we do it. Everybody had to be an MSSP. I see that changing. You mark it here first. I thought that term was going to die on the vine. I think it's actually this is the year or the next. The managed security service provider monogram is insufficient to what the landscape is becoming. Whomever can coin that term, you don't have to be the best. You just have to be first. They're going to win, because now you have to take into this managed security. That's just not going to work, right? Especially if you can't scale your ability with artificial intelligence, because you can't man your SOC with enough people who are willing to go home and get these old man bags up under their eyes trying to manage your SOC, right? So let me go back to the original question. How much did the conversation deviate from the atypical conversations you had in that room with those who offered professional services of a sort to customers or managed services?
I think things are definitely shifting significantly in the way that you approach it, the way that you implement it, and the way that you service it. Now, talking to a lot of service providers, and we're just bundling everybody into service providers now because managed services and system integrators and all, they're sort of doing the same thing now, apples and apples. But in this case right here, we're seeing some evolutions in the Microsoft side, particularly when you think about what is a managed service. So here recently at RSA, we had the announcement that we're bringing in the Microsoft Defender GDAP for the delegated access. And by the end of April, we're going to be having Sentinel GDAP. So the very first time, we're going to be bringing Sentinel and Defender together underneath one unified model and having a true multi-tenant organization type of approach in the Defender portal, being able to cross-prompt across the board. It's only a matter of time before Security Copilot lands in that space also, and you're able to do cross-prompting across all your tenants through GDAP and leveraging your SCUs as a partner to be able to incorporate that, which is huge. But I see an evolution also happening in the sense from a scalability and efficiency approach, because managing things from within the portal and the platform has always been sort of the default way of doing it. What I'm seeing now, what I've been introducing to partners and having them sort of resonate with me on this and trying to build out a compelling story is, how do we bring this agentic AI SOC type concept to reality? And the idea that we have an orchestrator type agent, and it's the manager. And then you have these little worker agents that are very specialized. Because we know that whenever you have an agent that performs many different tasks, the orchestration and the finding out what to do is very costly. If it's very specialized, then it's very streamlined. It's very cost efficient. So if you have this orchestrator agent and you have these little worker agents that are reporting back to the orchestrator, and it's sort of, being the air traffic control for the operations. You may have one agent that is around DLP, triaging, one around incidences for Sentinel and Defender, one for Infra, one for Intune, all these individual pieces. And they're all reporting back up. If we're able to bundle these together as one single unified package from the security store, bolt on some SCUs to it so that it's actually being funded from a partner perspective, we can then deploy that out there into the customer environment as like an agentic AI SOC or agentic AI ROC type concept. And when that deploys out, those SCUs are dedicated to that bundling of agents. They can't be used for anything else. They can't be used for embedded experiences, other agents, and so forth. They're defined by that, allowing the partner to have control and be at the steering wheel for how the budgeting and the forecasting of this cost is. Now, when this deploys out, it automatically registers with intra-agent ID. It gets all the compliances and all the governance and all the security from an identity perspective applied to it as agents. And as those little worker agents go out into the environment performing the activities that traditionally would be done by a person, it's able to do probably 80%. And it reports back up to the orchestrator saying, hey, I've done all of these, summarize this, get this back to the partner, get this back to the customer, make sure they have clear visibility of what I've done for the last 24 hours. And then for those other 20%, we see an area for like interactive chat where it's able to reach out to the customer and say, hey, I need your approval to go left or right. I need your approval to elevate from a reader role to an orchestrator role. And in a very light, glove type of approach, that might be on the customer side. On a more fully managed approach, it could be on the partner side. But the idea is that the partner is able to leverage this agentic AI or agentic rock type concept for compliance and security to be able to scale, create efficiency, and be able to do the bulk of the 80% very streamlined, very cheap, and focus their time on more critical areas of incidences or investigations, post-mortem, and other types of remediation and mitigation factors. And what I see this right here really being the huge benefit for is really SMBs and SMCs. A space very difficult for partners to really engage with because of the small margin of revenue that's coming in. And if they're able to use this from a scaling factor, then they can provide the same type of level of quality and service at a cheaper price and be able to bring in SMBs and SMCs. So I see a lot of my partners now that have traditionally been working in the enterprise space. They're now actually looking to entertain SMBs and SMCs. They're looking to entertain business premium. They're looking to entertain some of these lesser SKUs and smaller organizations because they have a way of being able to scale in a way that makes sense from a finance perspective. And that's where I think a lot of things is shifting. You're seeing a move from this traditional platform being built by a partner, this, going into a single unified portal to be able to do X, Y, and Z, projecting that out into the customer environment, and instead being able to deploy out this agentic SOC type, managed service that does a majority of it, but reports back at the exact same time, allowing you to elevate when you need to. That's where I think, honestly, we're going to see a lot of traction here in the near future as we continue to see the evolution of orchestrator agent-to-agent communication, the ability for us to be able to have that interactive chat that really brings you into the mix, because we want to train the agents. We want to give them insight, tell them, hey, good job, agent, keep doing this, or, bad agent, you did this wrong right here. This is how you should have done it better. Let it take that in from a memory perspective, use it as a consciousness, and then be able to be better in the future, just like it was with a person. And in the end, what I see that's happening right here is what I love about our partners is we've actually had one partner where they had four, I think they had a team of 8 L1 SOC analysts. And they built agents to take on the role of the SOC 1 analyst. And out of those 8, 6 of them moved out of that role. Now you may think, well, they're going to be let go. We're reducing staff. We're replacing things. That's not the case. They're actually providing career development opportunities. They're moving these people away from the SOC 1 role, moving them into SOC 2, and then they split the other half off to train them how to build agents, to how to build agentic AI solutions to further develop inside the organization. So it's not a replacement, it's an augmentation and shift from a role perspective. And we're seeing a lot of that take place across our partners and customers alike. And those that are willing to learn, that want to seek opportunity, you're going to have a lot of opportunity coming here very soon as AI starts to infuse into certain areas that are very informational and knowledge based and allow you to be able to move into different opportunities that may not have existed or may not have been presented to you because of the need for those levels of roles.
I wouldn't be surprised within the next 2 to 3 years that you see a definitive role of someone to come in to be a manager of agents. Right now, it seems to be very IT centric. The IT person or the dev person is the person that create the agents, and you monitor and you manage. But I'm thinking that and I wrote it down, and give me an idea when I write something, that AI might have hit that point where it's the fear of it displacing you is not necessarily true anymore. It's that firms will go into a hiring freeze rather than a layoff and say, hey, we have a very, very pointed skill set that we will mature and grow up through, and all our net new employees will be agents. And now we need a human in the loop to manage the agents. And your mindset has to change, though. The mindset can't be, I am a person that's creating this application, this thing, and because I'm IT, I'm doing this. Think about if I come in and all these agents are built, and someone says, so how many reports I have? You have 15,000 reports. What? Yes, you have 15,000 agents. And these agents get reviews. You're burning too many SEUs. You're burning too many whatever compute units in the vendor of your choice. You're antiquated. You do this. And so now you go in and you retire that whole team of agents because you brought a net new agent.
Do you throw a frisbee and take them out like in Tron?
Yes, just like that.
Yeah. I mean, the idea here is just like when it comes to organizations. I mean, you may have some agents that are doing X, Y, and Z, and other ones that are doing A, B, and C. And then maybe the A, B, and C one actually is more applicable to handle the part Z of the X, Y, and Z. So you bring that piece over into that agent and say, here, we're offloading this task into this one. It's more suited for that. We're going to become a lot like air traffic control people when it comes to agents in a lot of ways, because there's a difference between knowledge. I mean, there's a difference between knowledge and information and wisdom. And agents are very good at information and knowledge. They're very good at consuming, replicating, being able to make decisions and stuff. But it's just like when people are so afraid about AI building out code. Yeah, it can build out code. Is the code right? Is the code efficient? Is the code doing the right thing? The agent doesn't know that. That's where the person comes in. That's why whenever I build out PowerPoint slides with Copilot, I don't just send the PowerPoint presentation out when I get it and it's done. I tweak it 20%. But the 80% has really accelerated me to be able to be more efficient.
Wait,
it's
what?
The acceleration.
Copilot works in PowerPoint?
Oh, yeah.
Who would have thunk it?
That's why you need, from a coding standpoint, that's why you need a testing agent that's specifically set up for testing what the other agent has created. So,
and that's what we've done also in regards to like security Copilot agents. We've built an agent that delves into the manifest packages. It looks for certain types of things. It clears out the 80% very quickly and identifies the problems with them. We send them back to the partner and say, hey, you need to fix X, Y, and Z. And then we concentrate on the 20% that an agent isn't necessarily going to be looking at because it's too complex. Mm-hmm. It's all about looking at that low-hanging fruit and being able to create more efficiency and focus on the more complexity aspects. You can teach an agent almost anything, but there always has to be checks and balances in play also, because just like people, agents will make mistakes, and we want to guardrail that to make sure that those mistakes are not catastrophic.
Yeah, we said this on the show a couple of years ago, and neither one of us coined the phrase, but I thought it was. I think Vasu was on that show when we said it. Agents are 6-year-olds with PhDs, right? No sense of consequence, right? Do this thing, which is why you would have thought that the way that financial investment, marketing, and trading has totally been taken over. Frank and I are very acute to this, because agents don't feel that emotional thing that when you watch the news, something is happening, all of a sudden sell, or buy. Their job is to do this. And that's all a very good one. Shout out to you, Noodle. I'm going to get your trading bot soon. I am now really interested in not so much of the capability of what agents, but going back to the human side of where's the originality and where's the idealism. Because all of us can do it now, right? My wife loves Copilot. She calls it Copalita. I'm going to go ask Copalita what she thinks, right? I'm like, what? Is this a new employee? She's like, Copalita. What? Copilot? I was like, I thought about it the whole time she said that. She said, oh, yeah, everybody in the office uses Copalita. Like, okay, all right. And it's funny. But now I'm starting to see, where does the ideal come from? Because I think that the thing that makes us as biological entities really good is we don't have the it's a good and a bad thing. We don't have that reservation about, I wonder if I could do this, good or bad. You know what? I want to write me this biological weapon. I wanted to make you sprout bunny ears and go do this, right? And so when you program these guardrails into agent, do no harm, Isaac Asimov, the 6 laws of robots, right? Something like that. You can't do these things. But I'm looking now, but it's so hard, James. Everybody's doing something with this, and everything's the new shiny. And I'm on LinkedIn, and everybody did this, and they wrote this thing, and then when I go back, and I'm like, does it really help me? You wrote this thing, but did you solve a problem of one?
Well, I mean,
masses.
Yeah. Well, one thing you have to also think about, I mean, from a AI perspective, it's very black and white. The shades of gray don't really exist always. It's either right or wrong. And going back to your whole comment about, do no harm, what does harm mean? What's the identity of harm? Is it physical harm? Is it mental harm? Is it social harm? You may say something, do not do harm. The agent may come in to say, okay, I can't physically punch you, but I'm going to make you miserable from a social media perspective that you want to kill yourself. I mean, technically it's doing harm, but it's not the harm that you thought about. And that's where I think a lot of times those guardrails and that's explicitness, instructions matter. You've got to be very blatant. You have to be very precise. and you can't leave technicalities in play. That's where the problem comes in.
Well, the thing is that until we solve a few other things about compute capability, quantum, whatever's beyond quantum, because quantum can't be the fastest thing that it has to be the top end thing. If you watch enough science fiction stuff, you realize they are more often right than not, because science fiction is science fiction until you figure out how to make money, and then it's science fact.
Yep.
You can look at your risk and figure out that was science fiction years ago. Right now, it's science fact. And you're right. You're gonna have to be able to come in and until AI has a conscience, until it has experience in loss. I've never learned anything from winning. You learn from losing. My son was. You talk about kids being able to find the devil in the details. I kept. I'm old enough. My boys are old enough that we literally had a cookie jar, and the cookies were missing out of the jar. So I asked my boy. I said, did you get a cookie out of the jar? No. Okay. Did your brother get a cookie out of the jar? No. Okay. That thing, the cookies are gone. Did you get a cookie out of the jar? No. I had 2 cookies out of the jar. Cookies. You said I didn't have a cookie, Dad. One strap ass later, now they understand I programmed that agent. Now that agent knows the S is in parentheses. But they said, well, Dad, I can't have a cookie. And so it was them trying to figure out the boundaries of where they could execute what they wanted to do. Kids are all with it. When you say, you need to go to bed at 9, that's your bedtime. You've now given the original agent an ability to go in and say, so they said I have to be to bed at 9. What does that mean? And they'll go through do you mean I'm in the bed? Do I have to be asleep at 9? Do I have to be in my you're going to start to have that reason there. But I'm excited about what I'm seeing. I love the products that that Microsoft is building. I'm also loving all the innovation that doesn't seem to be it seems that way. There's like 5 or 6 or maybe 7 major players. That's only because the news is dominated by these particular people and what they're trying to do in the market. But when you get out of the market and you go really look at people who are trying to do agent for good, there's some stuff. I want to see it where it benefits us as a species. We were so excited about flying around the moon and coming back. If we had got our shit together as a species, we'd have been flying around Jupiter and getting back. And that way we're going to figure out how we're going to get out of the solar system. Propulsion is not going to get us out of the solar system. Now, we'll be dead before we ever get interplanetary travel. Shout out to you, whatever, Interstellar, that's not going to happen. Right? Not just right now. But I want to see what happens when the world is condensed, because even the smaller entities outside of geo and countries specific resources have access to this technology, and then the innovation that comes from that, right? Because right now we're talking about, well, you can't afford the GPU, you can't afford the energy, you can't afford all this. God forbid somebody asks an agent, how do you solve global climate? Well, you're the problem. You humans are the problem of climate change. So this is how you fix it. You get rid of your ass, and then the world cools back off eventually, right? But man, I want to say thank you for coming on. I'll give you any closing words on this, and I'm also extending an invitation. You don't want to come on to be one of our long-term hosts. We'd love to have you on, so Frank and I can take some vacation, like Rod did. And I haven't taken any yet. And we like to rotate our reoccurring hosts to come on and be a little bit more permanent. And don't ever wait for an invitation. You want to come on, I think we probably need you sooner than later, because if we started planning out partner month, we're going to need you to tell us, all right, give us your 10 partners. Who are they? You're going to hurt some people's feelings. That'd be fine. Now we'll get you off the hook. You give us 20 and we'll choose 10 or 8. We'll choose 8, because I think when we do it, we'll do 2 shows a week for a month, and we'll go that route. And,
you tell me how many you're looking to have, and I'll give you double that number. That way that you can do your own little research and pick out the ones you want. That way I don't get held accountable.
We need 8.
8, I'll give you 16 then.
16. We'll bring them on. So everybody out there that may be listening to the show, we're going to do our unscientific, discovery and evaluation, probably using AI. And we want you to come on and show your stuff. If you come on, you want to do PowerPoints and all that other stuff, you don't have the stuff. I want to see your stuff in work. There are some incumbents that are automatically going to get on. It's sort of like NCAA. You win your conference, you get in. So that's how it's going to work. So there are a couple of partners that are going to get on. They're probably going to be on your list. That's going to help us out. So, if we find it really compelling to go beyond 8 partners, we will. We won't let anybody not be able to have a chance to showcase their thing. And we may double up. I think Partner Month outside of Women in Cyber is one of our most successful themed months. So I think we need to go to a double Partner Month. We do one. We're almost out of spring. Are we in spring?
I think we should do a version of Partner Survivor.
Partner Survivor.
That would be great.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Let's use AI to write the script and everything. Partner Survivor. Frank,
partner deathmatch. Yeah.
You must have had some Chick-fil-A today, Frank. When Frank gets Chick-fil-A, he gets very creative. You must have had Chick-fil-A today. Shout out to Chick-fil-A. We're looking for sponsors.
I only go there for pop-ups, for the dogs. So,
well, everyone, thanks for coming on to the show. Thanks again to Mr. James Key, whose name gets me in places. Know that. The name I get in places, right? To everybody that listens to the show, we'll be back in 2 weeks. We are going to go ahead and have our Partner Month. We are up. Is it April? Still April. We're going to do it in May. We're going to try to have at least 4 shows. We're probably going to have 8. And if it's compelling, we may have 10. So if you're listening and give us a shout out, you can help your cause by reaching out to us proactively. You know how to find us, right? It helps. If you got any swag, Invoke is in. Swag. Shout out to the guys at Invoke AI for security, because instructions matter.
There we go.
There you go. Everyone, we'll see you later. Be cool, be strong, fight the power. Rod Claw.